insult your intellect by saying South America, because all of you know what it is. When I first came from South America, I arrived in New Orleans, and it seems like everyone, and I told them I was where the major crude oil pumping stations were located. I was among the youngest of 7 siblings and was homeschooled by my mother until I was 10. Our older siblings went to school at our hometown of Cartagena, a coastal city, much large city, and they stayed with relatives. But we would all come together on holidays and during the school recess. We lived in a modest brick home with a screen porch where we kept our pets, mostly little rabbits or squirrels, quails, things of the sort. Now our indefatigable mother had been a seamstress where the major crude oil pumping stations were located. I was among the youngest of 7 siblings and was homeschooled by my mother until I was 10. Our older siblings went to school at our hometown of Cartagena, a coastal city, much large city, and they stayed with relatives. But we would all come together on holidays and during the school recess. We lived in a modest brick home with a screen porch where we kept our pets, mostly little rabbits or squirrels, quails, things of the sort. Now our indefatigable mother had been a seamstress. British Columbia? I said, no. Is it Columbia, South Carolina? No. Colombia is right next to Venezuela. And then they would say, hey, of course, you know, it's very easy to remember. And they would say, but hey, where is Venezuela? The truth is that in those days, that's a long time ago, but in those days, Americans were not very good at when it came to geography, world geography. You know. Of course, nowadays, you know, everyone knows about Colombia, but it's not because of the good things. I mean, you know, you talk about cocaine, Colombia. I was born and raised in Colombia, and being the son of a petroleum engineer allowed me to become and making sure that we did our assigned homework. She was homeschooling us. But the lush and mysterious rainforest nearby was a perennial magnet for us little boys. Mm-hmm. Despite our fear for the boogeyman, that according to our mother was always hiding in the bushes, right? Ready to kidnap little boys that strayed from their homes and so forth. But caimans, which are large alligators, and anacondas were never very far away in the rainforest. In fact, every other year when the Magdalena River banks overflowed, we had caimans that would come very near our home. I was still very feeling sorry for the iguana. Iguanas, you know, would run a short stretch and then stop and turn around and look back and see to see who is following them. Something, but this iguana did just that. They ran a little bit, very fast, and then stopped, turned around and looked. It seemed like she was saying, why don't you try and catch me now? Because, you know, she no longer had the eggs to worry about the way that's over. Another time my father bought from an old Indian an ocelot cub. Ocelot is more like a bobcat, you know, a wild cat. And it was very nice. You know, we kept it in the porch, in a small cage. But as it grew, when I had like to buy wild things of interest for when they went back home for good, they take along. Of course, although you don't take the snake, but they do. Normally they kill it and then they use the skin as a rug or something. Anyway, there were no tickets at the time. But eventually, my father was transferred to the city of Cartagena to work in the main office. And we all went there, and I managed to, I went there to regular school, and I finished high school there. When I graduated, my father had already arranged papers for me to come to, thank you. And my father put me on a banana to regular school, and I finished high school there. When I graduated, my father had already arranged papers for me to come to, thank you. And my father put me on a banana boat and sent me to New Orleans, where I had a brother that had migrated a few years before, waiting there. It was a nice trip. It only took about 4 days from Cartagena to New Orleans. But I must say, I was the only passenger because it was like a freighter. All the other passengers were bananas. I was lucky that one of the officers there, because Spot was a Spaniard, and he, at least when and the sergeant in charge said to me, I got 3 more other recruits that will be waiting for you at the train station that will take you all the way to San Diego, California. And I said, well, you know, I don't, because he said, I'm putting you in charge. I said, I've never been in charge of anything, and I'd rather that you did good. But he said, no, you're going to do all right. I mean, I don't like those Southerners anyway, they're not good. And yeah, that's the way it was in Louisiana in those days. And so I went to the train station, and I confronted the other 3 recruits. And I told them, I said, look, I'm supposed to be in charge of you guys. The bigger one said to me, you're going to even speak English, what that is? I said, well, that's what the sergeant said. He said, I should have known that sergeant with the other 3 recruits. And I told him, I said, look, I'm supposed to be in charge of you guys. The bigger one said to me, you're going to even speak English, what that is? I said, well, that's what the sergeant said. He said, I should have known that sergeant with a Brooklyn accent about a mile long. He said, you don't like those Southerners anyway. At the time, and he said to me, he said, well, anyway, you know, I ain't going to listen or take orders from any speak. At the time, I didn't know what speak meant, you know. And I said to him, well, wait a minute, now, my name is Orlando. Orlando, Florida, like that. I said, no, I said to him, well, wait a minute, now, my name is Orlando. Orlando, Florida, like that. I said, no, well, I could not understand what that. I figured, hey, this guy's not getting it. I keep telling him my name, and he keeps calling me speak. But anyway, the thing about it is this tough guy, you know, the taller one, he, at the next train station, when it stopped, you know, he got off, and he never came back on the train. But, and then, of course, I arrived in San Diego. Well, maybe I can continue this some other time.
The subject is the speaker. However, Orlando, you went far beyond the basics in your speech today. You started out, and you won my heart, with some good humor very early on in your speech, and you came back later on with more evidences of your own command of good humor. And that goes a long way with me, and it goes a long way with almost any audience. So kudos to you for that. I thought that you seemed to be in command of yourself. If you weren't, you covered it beautifully. Took possession of the electron comfortable now. So that was good. You told a good story. You created good word pictures of the creatures in your home country and of the surroundings, the jungles, of the things that you went through as a boy. It was a very interesting story. Now, how might you improve it in the future as you go on to make more and even greater speeches? One thing, and I see this in even highly experienced speakers, if you've written out your speech word for word, better not to try to read it. You did a good job in that as you were reading it, referring to it, you did look up frequently to make eye contact with the audience. But it still kind of is a distraction. Because you're sticking yourself with the words that you created at home when you came here, and you don't need to. You know the story of your life. My recommendation always, if you feel you need cues or you might forget something, use a 3x5 card. Write down just a few cues to remind yourself of the crocodile story or the iguana, whatever, and just glance from time to time down there. And that way you keep very, very good contact with the audience at all times, and you're not distracted by something down here. Finally, the red light, which I'm getting. I'm going to still
I couldn't see it. I don't know why. I didn't see it because of the color.
Well, when you did see it, oh my gosh, you still have how much more stuff to do. Well, you finally did what you could have done early on as soon as you see the red light. Just say, I have lots more to tell you. I'm going to tell you, I'm out of time, I'm going to tell you more next time around, or something like that, rather than to think, oh, I've got all this stuff to go through, and there's that red light staring me in the face. It's staring me in the face, too, so I will